Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Train Station Podcast. As always, I am your host, A Train, and with the NFL season right around the corner, I'm going to give you the rankings of my personal opinion of all 32 teams going into the 2025 NFL season. Now, some of this is subject to change. You can interchange some of these, and I'll get into that. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with number 32, who I think is going to be the worst team in the league this year. At number 32, I've got the New Orleans Saints. This team is in desperate need of a rebuild, but they continue to just keep guys on the roster that are older, that take up a lot of cap space, that haven't really helped them win. To me, it seems like they're all in for Texas quarterback Arch Manning, who's from the New Orleans area. Questionable draft day decisions, especially when taking a guy like Tyler Shough, when Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, among others, were still on the board. They won't tear down the whole thing, but they need to. And also, not that he was great for the Saints, but the retirement of Derek Carr makes matters even worse. And their salary cap, because they continue to just keep these guys on that aren't helping them much, is going and finally catching up with them. It's going to be a long, long season for Saints fans. And so I believe they will be the worst team in the league. Now let's go to number 31. I have the Cleveland Browns. It's time, Cleveland fans. Sell the team, fire everybody, sell the team, and start over. You let Nick Chubb walk. Yes, he had a season-ending knee injury, but he was literally the identity on offense for the Browns. They have no more identity, and they have a quarterback room full of misfits. You drafted Shedeur Sanders, you drafted Dillon Gabriel, and you have Joe Flacco. But what is the long-term plan here? Shedeur, Dillon Gabriel, are you moving on with both of them? Are you going to move one or the other? I think personally Shedeur Sanders belongs in a team that's actually going to use him and not the Cleveland Browns. On top of that, you only have a defensive end that you made the highest paid because he wanted to leave. And the only reason he stayed was because you paid him to stay. On top of that, you play in one of, if not the hardest division in all of football in the NFC or in the AFC North that has the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers, who are all supposed to improve this year. The Browns continue to make decisions that keep them at the bottom of the league and a laughingstock in the league, and until things change from the top, they are going to remain there. At number 30, I have the Jets. What does the Jets stand for? Just end the season. And every year it's starting to become more and more evident and more of a reality. The Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams saga was a complete and total disaster. They have good skill position players. You know, they have Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. And they did sign Justin Fields, but he has to continue to improve and show that he can be an NFL level quarterback. He makes poor decisions even this far into his career, and I think if Justin Fields doesn't work out in New York, then that's it for him. Also, first-year head coach Aaron Glenn has his work cut out for him in changing the identity. And also, rookie head coaches rarely ever do good in year one. So the Jets are going to be at the bottom, I believe, this year. Number 29 and number 28. You can flip-flop them if you want. But at number 29, I have the Colts. And a lot of this, he's not even starting, but a lot of this depended on the play of Anthony Richardson. But now that they are not going with him, they're going with Danny Dimes instead. Further proving that Anthony Richardson was a project coming out, and he still has yet to show any real signs of being a true franchise signal caller in this league. He's shown flashes, but his injuries have been a problem and have derailed him of any momentum. The Colts still have a really good offensive line, and they still have Jonathan Taylor, which is great. And they are benefiting this year from a division that isn't good at all. Like, you have the Titans, the Colts, the Jags, and the Texans. And the Texans will probably win the division, but other than that, you can flip-flop these teams and put them where you want. They still need a quarterback, but they do benefit from a mediocre division, and that could boost them up the rankings. But right now, it looks like it's going to be another rough year for Indianapolis. At number 28, I have another team in their division, the Tennessee Titans. A wild card in this division. At number 1 in the draft, they took Cam Ward out of Miami / Washington State / Incarnate Word. Was that the correct decision to take him as the first quarterback overall over a guy like Shedeur Sanders? I guess it's yet to be seen. Or was it a smarter decision than building up the rest of the team and rolling with a veteran quarterback? Tennessee has a lot of holes to fill, and getting a potential franchise quarterback is worth that risk. So I guess we're going to find out. Tyjae Spears, I expect to take the next step in the running game. And if Tennessee can keep Ward upright, we might be in for a lot of shootouts. This kid is an absolute baller. They might not be very good this year, but they can be a very, very exciting team to watch. That is number 28. At number 27, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. Both guys one-hit wonders who benefited greatly from the systems they were in. Seattle takes on that huge risk of going all in and bringing in Sam Darnold, who really, if you think about it, is not even an upgrade, might even be a downgrade from Geno Smith. But they do have a defensive-minded head coach in McDonald who will make sure that the defense plays up to a high standard, so they'll be fine in the defensive department. But I'm worried that Sam Darnold's not going to be able to benefit from the weapons and stuff that he had in Minnesota. Yeah, he's got Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he's not going to benefit from as good of a team as he had in Minnesota in Seattle. Also, they're in the NFC West, which is a very strong, tough division. At number 26, we have the Carolina Panthers, who I believe are building a team the correct way. They started from the ground up. They got their potential franchise quarterback in Bryce Young. We need to see him take the next step. I personally still believe that C.J. Stroud would have been a much better fit for this team. He's got pieces around him with Xavier Legette, and they continue to try and build that offensive line. And they were one of the worst teams last year at stopping the run. They'll have to clean that up if they have any sort of chance, but they do play in the NFC South, which is a complete and total wild card this year. You got the Bucs, the Falcons, and the Saints, who I've already mentioned the Saints as being the worst. So if you can be better than the Saints, you could potentially sneak in, be better than the Falcons, and they could really take the next step this year, but we have to see a better play in quarterback play from Bryce Young, and if he can take that next step, Carolina is going to be a surprise team. At number 25, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders. Bringing in Pete Carroll was a very interesting decision. An older coach, yes, he's won Super Bowls, and yes, he's won at every level he's been at. And I love the draft pick of Ashton Jeanty. You didn't overthink it. You went with the best player on the board at the time in Ashton Jeanty. He's going to be huge for that offense. We know Pete Carroll loves to run the football. And they get a quarterback that Pete Carroll's familiar with in Geno Smith. Not that Geno Smith is great, but you get the familiarity factor with Pete Carroll, who made Geno Smith who he was. You get Ashton Jeanty. The defense might be a little rough, and you play in the AFC West, which is the wild, wild West. You have the Chiefs and the Broncos. So you're going to have to try and compete with them. But they've got good building blocks in place. I don't trust Geno Smith long term, though. And I also think that Pete Carroll is only going to be here for a year or two before he retires again officially from the NFL. At number 24, I've got the Giants. And poor Giants and poor Brian Daboll. He finally has his quarterback that he wanted in Jackson Dart. But their schedule this year is brutal. They have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL this year. And going in with a rookie quarterback, you also have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But at some point, you're going to want to play Jackson Dart, as that is Brian Daboll's guy. One of the hardest schedules in the league, and letting Saquon Barkley walk was one of the dumbest decisions their GM has ever made. And now it's put up or shut up year, and unfortunately I think it's a shut up year because of the schedule. I don't see the Giants improving much from a year ago, and I see both Daboll and their GM getting fired. When it's not necessarily Daboll's fault. He was dealt a crap hand, and he's getting a crap hand. He finally has his quarterback, and then he's hit with the hardest schedule in the NFL. So, not his fault, but I think they clean house after this year. At number 23, I've got the New England Patriots. A team that defensively is probably going to be one of the best defenses in the league. I don't trust the offense. You don't really have a weapon on the outside. I do like TreVeyon Henderson, who they drafted, and I think their run game is going to be strong. I don't know necessarily, and I've been saying it for a year, I don't trust Drake May. I don't really trust him again going into year 2, especially with no real giant outside weapon threat. You've got Stephon Diggs, but let's be honest, he's washed. So I think this team is just, their defense is just going to be on the field far too often. They're going to be a really good defensive team, though, but too often their defense is going to have to win them games. I don't trust Drake May to do it, and so I kind of just have them on the lower tier. I think they'll be better than a year ago, but unless Drake May takes that big, giant next step, which most quarterbacks take a step back in year 2, which is not a good sign for New England, might be a little bit of a rough year. So at number 22, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who knows what they're going to do at this season. Trevor Lawrence is paid to be an elite quarterback, but he hasn't shown that elite quarterback skill yet. He's got all the tools to be successful. They drafted Travis Hunter, who we're not sure if he's going to be able to play both sides of the ball at the NFL level as he did in college. The Heisman Trophy winner. Will he play offense? Will he play defense? Will the Jags put him in both? They traded up to get him. They fully believe in Travis Hunter. I personally think he's going to be a better defensive back at the next level, and I think they should fully focus on putting him on defense. But it is a harder adjustment to be a good corner in the NFL. The Jags are going all in, and I think in a division that is a wild card outside of Houston, this is their chance to prove everybody wrong. I just don't know if they can. Their identity is lacking. You took a top 5 pick with a guy you're not sure if he's going to play offense, defense, or both sides of the ball. Very questionable mark there. Will Trevor Lawrence finally step up and play like the quarterback he's paid to be? Again, I don't know, but there's too many question marks for me to put the Jags any higher. So at 22, I've got the Jags. Now at 21, I have the Miami Dolphins. Another team like the Jags where you just really don't know. They could be really good offensively with Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa, but Tua's constantly hurt. Tyreek Hill keeps contemplating back and forth whether he actually wants to stay in Miami or not. Your offensive line is suspect, which is why Tua continues to get hurt. Yes, you have Jalen Waddle and you have Tyreek Hill on the outside for Tua, but when Tua goes down, you don't really have much. You have literally no running game to speak of, so you're constantly a one-dimensional team. Your defense is decent, but not great. They're kind of just floating there at towards the middle to the bottom of the league. Not really sure. Maybe it's time to move on from Tua, trade Tyreek Hill, and just start over. It might just be time to start. Especially if things go south early for Miami, it's going to be time to just start over and try again. At number 20, I have the Atlanta Falcons. A team that has all the tools to be successful. You haven't shown or unlocked Kyle Pitts' true potential. You've got Bijan Robinson, and I really like Michael Penix at quarterback. I said last year that I think he will be the best quarterback out of that draft class. I still truly believe that. The Kirk Cousins signing turned out to be a disaster, but you're all in on Michael Penix. He's got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. He's got all in a decent offensive line, not great. If they can shore up that offensive line, they just lost McGrady for the year, which really hurts them. But if they can shore up that offensive line, their defense is solid enough. It's not good by any means. It's also not terrible. But if they can shore up the defense, shore up that offensive line, this is a team to watch out for. They have all the potential to make Michael Penix successful. And I think they do. I just don't trust them enough to win many games. They're going to just kind of teeter in that middle tier. At number 19, I've got the Chicago Bears. Like I said with the Jets, rookie head coaches normally don't do well in year one, and that's what you're getting with Ben Johnson. You've gotten Caleb Williams, your franchise quarterback. You've gotten him the coach that will make him the most successful. But you traded for two aging offensive linemen that clearly good teams did not want, or they would not have moved on from them. I don't care how old they are. If you're good, teams are going to want you. So you have an aging offensive line that is much better than a year ago. And you do still have DJ Moore. You have DeAndre Swift, who is familiar with playing with Ben Johnson with his time in Detroit. But the question is, how good will the Bears be this year? I think their defense is still a little suspect. Will Caleb Williams take that next step as well? A lot of this is going to depend on the quarterback play for a lot of these teams, as quarterback is the utmost important position in football. But I think with year one and Ben Johnson, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Do I think Ben Johnson is a good head coach? That remains to be seen. I think he's much better in his offensive coordinator role than a head coach. But again, it's wait and see. The Bears are headed in the right direction. I just don't think they're there yet. It's going to take a bit of time. So I have them at 19. A team I've been high on for the last couple years that I'm not as high on this year. At number 18, I've got the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray has not shown he can be a good quarterback at this level. He's a decent quarterback, but he's 6 foot tall. He's got Marvin Harrison on the outside. The fact that he has not shown he can be a successful NFL quarterback yet is very concerning. I love what they did in the draft, though. They took Will Johnson late in the 3rd round. I think he has potential to be a top 10 pick. And their defense has greatly improved. I need Kyler Murray, though, to take that next step. And again, they play in the NFC West, which is a tough division. I need Kyler Murray to take that next step, make him elite, make Marvin Harrison elite. If you can do that, your offensive line's not great, but your offensive line is decent. Kyler Murray has the ability to escape the pocket. He has the chance to really make Arizona an exciting team. But I need to see it from Kyler Murray. I haven't seen, much like Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence plays well for the Jags, you'll see them do well. If Kyler Murray plays well for the Arizona Cardinals, you will see Arizona take that next step. But I need to see it from Kyler Murray. Until then, it's just not going to happen. At number 17, I have America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the problem with the Cowboys. we know what they are. They've had the same identity for years. A great regular season team that either sneaks into the playoffs and loses, or does really, really well and then loses in the first round of the playoffs anyways. We know what they are. They have no identity. They've got CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Yet is not in my opinion, is not a top 7 quarterback. I don't think the Cowboys will win as long as Dak Prescott is a quarterback and as long as Jerry Jones is in charge. They need to scrap it. They need to start over. Dak Prescott's not the guy. Jerry Jones is not the guy. And the Cowboys will continue to float in the realm of mediocrity until both of those guys are gone. We know they're going to be decent in the regular season. They'll be 500 or float right around 500. They might sneak into the playoffs. They might not. But we know that in the regular season, they're going to win games they're not supposed to win. And maybe sneak into the playoffs. And then that's when it explodes and blows up. A team that hasn't won in 30-something years, you think Jerry Jones would be smart enough to know something has to change here. On top of that, Cowboys haven't gotten an extension with Micah Parsons. You don't know if Micah Parsons is going to play this year or not. It doesn't look like he's very interested in playing until you pay him. Why are you not paying him? You lose him, you lose your whole defense. Cowboys are just in a world of mess. And as a Cowboy hater, I love to see it. But as, a guy who breaks down teams, you hate to see it for them because they're right there on the cusp of being so good. But then they make boneheaded decisions that puts them right back. So that is at number 17, that is who I have. We are now moving into the top half of the NFL. At number 16, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they could be very, very good this year, but injuries have been a concern. When they go down with injuries, they get hit with injuries hard, and they're a decent team. I still think they're going to be a really good football team, but can Christian McCaffrey play good? Is Brock Purdy worth the price tag that you paid him? I don't personally think that Bryce Purdy was worth it. I think he's an average quarterback benefiting from a really, really good team. The Niners, if they can stay healthy, move into the top 5 by the end of the year. I just worry that they're kind of older and they're kind of on the decline as far as health goes, and that's why I have them middle of the pack and not higher. I do think they have the potential, though, to be a top 5 team. At number 15, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals. Bar none, best offense in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Bar none, best offense in the NFL. The problem is Joe Burrow continues to get killed on the offensive line, and you don't build the defense. It took you certain clauses in the contract for you to sign your first-round defensive rookie. He didn't even want to play for you. Trey Hendrickson sat out all of training camp until you gave him an extension this year. You didn't even extend his contract. You just gave him a contract, or you just gave him a raise for this season. He's making close to $30 million. Joe Burrow still has no protection on the offensive line. Now, I have them at 15 because their offense, like I said, the best offense in the league. Joe Burrow, the best quarterback in the NFL. Argue with a wall. I will die on that hill that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. And they are going to be able to score with anybody. The problem is they can't stop anybody. And that's why I don't have them higher. Because they can go ahead and put up 42 points, but they'll give up 45 to 49 points. And that kind of puts them in a tough spot. If they can shore up that defense, easily the winner of the AFC next year, by far. At number 14, I've got the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix surprised everybody but me last year. I did say Bo Nix was going to be a solid quarterback. I don't really like him, but in the right situation, he can do well, and he's proven that in Denver. Sean Payton has his own Drew Brees-esque quarterback. I'm not saying he's as good as Drew Brees, but they shocked a lot of people. They return a good defense, one of the better defenses in the league. They're going to sit behind the Chiefs. But if they can upset the Chiefs here or there, you might be looking at a top 5, top 6, top 7 finish. They're doing everything right. I don't really have much to say about them. They'll probably be around as good as they were a year ago. They'll be able to sneak into the playoffs, potentially. They do have the Chargers in there as well. I think the Chargers, which I'll get to later, will be better than them. I guess we'll find out. At number 13, I have the Washington Commanders. I think they take a step back this year. It's nothing against the Commanders, but when you surprise the amount of people that you did last year and you were good that early, I don't think people are going, or with that comes high expectations, and I don't think they're going to exceed those expectations this year. I still expect Jayden Daniels to be Jayden Daniels, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in that class, if not the best quarterback in that class. Solid defense, Dan Quinn, solid coach. I just think that they take a step back this year from the expectations that they're going to have that they set last year. They'll be a good team. They might sneak into the playoffs, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. Now we're really getting into the nitty-gritty. At number 12, I've got the Packers. Great team. They've got good weapons on the outside. They finally, after 20-something years, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round. That's going to definitely help Jordan Love. Here's the thing. I don't trust Jordan Love. I just don't. Nothing that he's done screams, this guy is the future, face of Packer football. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Brett Favre. But as long as he continues to play decent, they'll be a good team. They'll be a solid, decent team. And they'll obviously make the playoffs. I just don't see them being any better than last year. And I think they're still going to be fighting for third place in the NFC North. At number 10, I've got the Houston Texans. Arguably the best team in the AFC South, which is not saying much. And I think they have a real good chance to surpass and beat the Chiefs this year. But they need to shore up that offensive line. They had one offensive lineman, I'm forgetting, Laramie Tunsil. They traded him away. Now you've got a whole bunch of, and you traded away Keon Green, you traded away Laramie Tunsil. Who is protecting C.J. Stroud, who I still think is going to be the best quarterback to come out of Ohio State? I still think he's a really good quarterback. But who's going to protect him? You've got weapons on the outside. You've got Nico Collins. You've got all these guys on the outside. But who in the world is going to protect C.J. Stroud? And that is the biggest question mark, much like the Bengals. You're not going to be able to protect C.J. Stroud. Then he can't get it out to his playmakers. The defense is solid, and they benefit from a terrible division. They'll still win their division, which is why I have them. Sorry, I skipped one. They're number 10. Let's move it back. Let's go to number 11. Sorry, I skipped one. I didn't mean to do it. At number 11, we have the Los Angeles Rams. All of this, 100%, is going to be on the play of Matthew Stafford. We know Matthew Stafford throughout his career has been banged up, been dealt terrible offensive lines in his time in Detroit, yet still was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now he goes to a team that has a much better offensive line, an offensive-minded coach, won a Super Bowl year one there. He's still got Puka Nacua. He doesn't have Cooper Kupp, though, which is going to be an interesting way to see how they go about not having Cooper Kupp there. He's in Seattle. But you still have Puka Nacua. You have a good running game and Williams and Corum and all of those guys. Your offensive line is improved. Your defense is spotty. But I'm assuming that you're benefiting from a 49ers team that is going to be injured, and a Arizona team where Kyler Murray hasn't taken that next step. So that is number 11. Like I said, number 10 is the Houston Texans. Now here's a team I probably have much higher on the list than most people. At number 9, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, it's been 2 years too late, but I think that is an absolute perfect fit for Mike Tomlin. He finally has a quarterback that has the capabilities to do it all. We know Aaron Rodgers, to me, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football. Yeah, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, blah, blah. To me, it's Aaron Rodgers. The guy can do it all. The Jets thing was a debacle. They're past that. He signs with the Steelers, who we know has an incredible defense. Aaron Rodgers still... we're going to see if he has that factor. And I think if he plays like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Aaron Rodgers, he turns back the clock, this is your Super Bowl sleeper. I really like this Steelers team. And if Aaron Rodgers can turn back the clock to just a couple years ago before he was with the Jets, you have your AFC champ. We know their defense is good. We know their defense is going to stay good. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season as head coach. I don't think they do again this year. 9-8 might be the ceiling, but that 9-8, and if they're in the playoffs, I would not want to play them in the playoffs. At number 8, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, one of those teams that benefits from a very, very poor division with the Panthers, Falcons, and Saints. I have the Saints and the Panthers very low. I think the Panthers could surprise some people, but the Bucs benefit from a really poor division. Baker Mayfield has done great in Tampa Bay. Yeah, I know, the Baker Mayfield haters, let him come out. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's a great quarterback for them. They've got all the weapons. Drafting Emeka Egbuka to a team that already had Godwin and Mike Evans just solidifies even more trust in Baker Mayfield. The defense kind of shoddy, but in a division like that, should have no problems winning the division, getting a top 4 seed in the NFC. At number 7, I've got the Minnesota Vikings. Now, he hasn't played yet, so the jury is still out on J.J. McCarthy. You guys can check out my quarterback rankings from last year to see where I have him. Honestly, if he has anywhere near the season that Sam Darnold had, he will be just fine. He's not going to be expected to be a super fantastic quarterback by any means. All he has to do, this was a 14-win team a year ago. They won 14 games with Sam Darnold behind center. They've improved, and now you throw in a rookie quarterback who missed all of last year with an injury. If he can play anywhere near the level that Sam Darnold played a year ago, this will be a team that wins 14 games again. They do have a tougher schedule, but I think they'll be just fine. This is a team to watch out for in the end. If you're looking for a team that could potentially dethrone the Philadelphia Eagles this year, it's these guys. I think the Vikings have a very good chance to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. At number 6, and these are I think 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all interchangeable. At number 6, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers. I love Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is great. Jim Harbaugh is doing a fantastic job with him. He's building the team the right way. Dobbins was good, but now you bring in Najee Harris. So you know the run game is going to be good. The defense is getting better. You have a good offensive line. You're going to miss having Rashawn Slater out there, who is missing the season with the injury. But you still have a really good offensive line. You've got Justin Herbert. The only thing we need to see from Justin Herbert is when it comes to the playoffs, can he finally get over the hump? And that's going to be a lot of this with these teams coming up, is can they take that next step and get over the hump? These are really good football teams that just haven't been able to do it. At number 5, I've got the Buffalo Bills. Like I said, we know what to expect from the Bills. Can they take the next jump? Can they finally beat the Chiefs? Can they beat the Ravens? Can they beat those teams? We know Josh Allen. We know the talent of Josh Allen. We know the defense is going to be just fine. And they benefit from playing in a terrible division. So we know they're going to be a top 2, 3, 4 team in the AFC. The only question that we continue to have is, can the Bills do it? Can the Bills take that next step? At number 4, I've got the Detroit Lions. Again, one of those teams, we know the talent's there. The question I have with the Lions is, how are they going to fare losing both coordinators, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, to head coaching gigs? You still have Dan Campbell. You still have Jared Goff. You still have a really good offense. You drafted defense. Your defense. You get Aiden Hutchinson back, which is going to be huge. If the Lions can stay healthy, which last year they were not able to, if they're able to stay healthy, they'll still be a really good football team. Like the Vikings, they have a much harder schedule this year. I don't see 15 wins for the Lions. I don't see 13, 14 wins for the Lions. I see maybe a 10, 11, maybe 12 wins for the Lions this year. Still gets them into the playoffs. I think they battle the Vikings for that number 1 spot in the NFC North. Once they get into the playoffs, though, are they able to take that next step? The talent is there, the coaching is there. Now we need to see it, much like the Bills, much like the Chargers. We need to see them take that next step come playoffs. At number 3, and I think the absolute biggest threat this year to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Their defense is fantastic. They always have a solid defense. All the pieces are there. But like the Bills, like the Lions, like the Chargers, can they finally get over that hump? I don't know what else to say about them. They have all the pieces there. All the pieces are in place. They're a very, very good football team. They'll finish first in the NFC North, or in the AFC North, which is a really good division. I think the Steelers can bat them a little bit, and if Cincinnati can shore up that defense, they might throw them some fits. But overall, I think this is the Ravens division to lose. I think this is the conference for the Ravens to lose. And if I had to give a prediction right now, it's a Ravens-Vikings Super Bowl. And I'm going to talk about number 1 and number 2 together, since I have the same thing to say. Number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 1 is Philadelphia Eagles. Simple. Until they are beaten, until somebody knocks them off the throne, they are the 2 teams to beat. They are the AFC and the NFC representatives in the Super Bowl for a reason, and both of them are the top 2 teams in the NFL for a reason. Don't like it? Beat them. Nobody's been able to beat the Eagles. Nobody's been able to beat the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are worth the number 2 team in the NFL. I think they take a step back this year, but until somebody beats them, they're going to stay at number 2, and until somebody beats the Eagles, they're going to stay number 1. I don't think either repeats as champion of the AFC and NFC this year, but again, until somebody beats them, they are the top 2 teams in the NFL. Don't like it? Defeat them. I think Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles was an absolute cheat code. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get it done for the Chiefs. Helps to have the refs on your side, but that's a conversation for another day. But until somebody beats one of those 2 teams, those are your top 2 teams in the NFL. So going through the list again, 32 Saints, 31 Cleveland, 30 New York Jets, 29 Indy, 28 Tennessee, 27 Seattle, 26 Carolina, 25 Raiders, 24 the Giants, 23 New England, 22 Jacksonville, 21 Miami, 20 Atlanta, 19 Chicago, 18 Arizona, 17 Dallas, 16 49ers, 15 Cincinnati, 14 Denver, 13 Commanders, 12 Packers, 11 Los Angeles Rams, 10 Houston, 9 Pittsburgh, 8 Tampa, 7 Minnesota, 6 Chargers, and then top 5 is Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philadelphia. Like I said, you can flip some of those teams. You can flip some of those teams around. I don't know why my camera is being like this. Sorry, guys. Ignore my stupid camera. You could flip that around. You could put Baltimore at 2, Kansas City at 3. You could put Detroit at 6. You could put Buffalo at 4. You could put Buffalo at 3. You could put Buffalo at 5. Which is where I have them. You could put them at 4. You could put them at 3. You could put them at 6. You could even put them at 7. A lot of those teams are interchangeable. I'm basing this off of last year plus what the potential they have to do this year. So yeah. If it were up to me, I'm calling it now. We might get a NFL predictions video later on, but I'm calling it right now. We're getting an all-purple Super Bowl. We're getting the Ravens and Vikings. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next video.